Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the X-Force Global channel. Thank you very much for joining. Hope you're doing fantastic today. Today, we're going to be diving back into the latest Bitcoin developments and explore how we can revise the wave counts based on our prior analysis. As I must cater to both the bulls and bears, I hope my analysis shows a neutral approach to help build your own thesis on the bearish or bullish outcome. Once again, we are still within a small range as per yesterday's analysis, but the bounce on the micro timeframes does show a little bit of demand in the sense that volatility is dying down after the FOMC news from yesterday, where rates remain the same. So we can get the fundamental news out of the way. Now, as per yesterday's analysis, we mentioned or discussed the idea of this being a wave 4 that's now nearing conclusion, not as a double zigzag where we have two zigzags possibility being made, but I did give my idea on why the idea is reducing in possibility because our expectation of a X wave hitting that 90%, making this unlikely as a zigzag. So rather we labeled our wave A as the move to replace that wave W, and then we have a wave B, and then we're looking for some kind of overlapping structure and finishing off the C wave as a diagonal. Now, this idea of the diagonal hasn't died, so if we look at it, we have this possible move into a wave 1 of the diagonal. We're looking for three-wave structures. We are seeing this as an ABC. Remember, the diagonal of the ending variation of contracting or even the expanding variety requires a series of only threes, where the leading diagonal requires two different outcomes of a 5-3, 5-3, 5, or a series of threes like the ending diagonal. So what we got here is now we are now forced to work with threes, as our overall idea is based on that we have been working in overlapping structures as threes. So we're looking for this subwave 4 now developing into a possible zigzag family once again, as the wave 4 enters the price territory of wave 1 if we want to keep this contracting look and also have some kind of trend line being made, and then another three-way move down. That'll be another temporary bearish outcome. However, if we do see this as another three-way move down on this larger idea, this can help complete the idea that we still do have a lot of demand in this region and we're going to be working out of here. Now remember, for an ending diagonal, it can be truncated, end at the trend line, or do a small shoot right below the over trend line of the ending of this wave 4 for the wave C. And wave 5, like I said, can do an overshoot, what it's very common to do so. Very briefly, we don't want to be going too deep, but again, that overshoot is a possibility to give us a little bit of more leeway in terms of how we can expect the outcomes of this ending diagonal. So that is our first scenario. Going back to our second scenario that we've also discussed, which is my preferred scenario, I do believe that we can be working in some kind of combination where we utilize this idea as a flat structure now, ending at this region here where we originally had this as the kind of transitional structure. Now we're looking for this being the beginning of a wave W, and we're now transitioning as an expanded flat into a wave X, and we're looking for three-wave ideas. Again, this final move should be an impulse, and it looks like it's starting to kind of come out of this 1382 to 1236 zone. So it's a fantastic little move. But again, maybe in tomorrow's analysis, we won't even be talking about this if we do continue down. And more ideally, we really want to stay above this 1382, because anything further, just like we have validated or tried to validate within this region as a 1-2 flat, where it hit the 1618, I don't deem that as a possibility as much anymore, especially on this larger caliber. I do believe that there's a lot of other alternative scenarios, especially the bear scenario, if we do continue go down. Now, what are we looking for here? Once again, we're looking for a three-wave move for wave A, as we're looking for the motive structure as a flat. We want to be doing another ABC. We predicted this quite nicely on the shorter time frames, and then we looked for a sharp C wave, gave us a pretty proper look due to the depth of the C wave, and in a fast, swift manner, helped give us that sharp kind of ratio look. And the A to the C, again, equals the 1618, pretty much on dot with the 1382 of the expanded flat that we're looking for of that B pocket zone. And again, the expanded flat for the B pocket can end anywhere between the 101 to the 1382%, and that is what we got, just fairly past that. So now we're looking for another 5-wave impulse. If the bulls are able to maintain and come back up and break through major support levels, or resistance levels now. We're going to be looking for a 5-wave impulse, preferably back into the 0.7 or the 70%. And then we're looking for that X wave to conclude for another sideways movement, either as a zigzag, or that is the ideal one and the most common one that we're going to be looking for. As our first structure is a flat, we're looking for a zigzag, flat, or triangle, as we can see here. But again, the most common one that we want to be looking for is this wave Y completing as an idealized zigzag, preferably sharp. And then we're also going to be completing this whole idea as some kind of combo idea where we work in some kind of equilibrium state and we go back and forth between the bulls and bears fighting in this range, and then we're finally out of this region. Now, what is the other idea? I did have an idea of a possible triple combo. I haven't seen these. These are pretty quite rare in the sense that we don't see them often for wave fours, especially within Bitcoin. I haven't seen one personally. Usually we work within distribution zones for Bitcoin, and the price action and volatility usually ruins these types of ideas pretty quickly. So I'm assuming that we're going to be entering either a combo, or we're going to be looking for the idea of a bearish continuation impulse to the downside. Now, again, the idea of this is that we're working in a series of 1-2s. Again, if we're in the beginning structure of the 1-2s, it still is a bit too early to talk about. However, we do have the beginning structures, and due to these moves down and invalidating a lot of the bullish ideas that we had over here, this idea has come into play quite a bit. And this is why I need to be talking about this and putting a little more weight into it, because we do have an overlapping structure. We have a possible 1, 2, 3, 4. Wave 4 has a triangle, 5, and then wave 1 is being complete. And then we have a double zigzag for wave 2. That completes our actionary and reactionary kind of corrective wave for wave 2, just like we had for wave A and B, completing here. And then we can be looking for this move becoming a wave 1 instead of an AB of a flat that we were looking for. Instead, this is the beginning structure of a new impulse move down for wave intermediate wave 3. That will be the continuation as the extension. Then we're looking for this 1, 2, 3, 4, and invalidation would occur at this region here. If wave 4 goes into this territory, it's most likely that we're going up further for that way to X. So we're going to be pretty close. If we're going to go past around 4 to 5% within the current levels, then that gives us more leeway to go back into that bullish scenario. But again, this idea still does has redeemed itself over the past few days because of this move down. Now, again, we're looking for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to complete this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see we really need to be working continuously as an impulse, completely getting rejected at major Fibonacci levels of each respective Fibonacci zone. And again, eventually that'll create our primary wave 1, and that primary wave 1 is going to be leading us into that wave 2. So there's still quite a long way to go. Again, there is a lot of perma bulls, perma bears. A lot future finance is definitely when people are screaming at the all-time highs, and then major fear or uncertainty and greed or FUD happens when price moves down. So we got to remain neutral. What kind of probabilities lie upon us? I believe that this idea currently has the strongest weight, where we do have some kind of idea of a flat structure being made. I don't think a lot of people are seeing this, but it's absolutely possible because, again, this being a transitional wave for wave X would give us a fairly strong, confident move of possibly working in that final Y wave to the upside. Otherwise, that idea of that diagonal, if we do get rejected and we work in 3 waves rather than this 5-wave impulse to the upside, breaking this previous invalidation of the bearish idea of that impulse of this 1, 2, 3, wave 4 cannot go into the origin of wave 1. So that would give us fairly strong confidence that this is going to be in play. So without too much to say, there is pretty much only those 3 scenarios. It's either the bearish scenario gets invalidated or this continuation for this X wave happens. But again, if I had to put my weight onto it, I would say this idea has a little bit more weight to it at the time of recording, just due to the fact that we are always constantly trying to find what kind of corrective move we're in, and due to all of these corrective overlaps, everything seems to be working in 3s, and just because of that, the probabilities remain in that kind of scenario. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you're interested in joining my X-Force Global Discord membership, the link is in the description below. Please do not hesitate to contact me. If you're not following me on social media, I do even more daily detailed updates on there, more altcoin analysis on the daily at X, or formerly known as Twitter. please do follow me there at X4S Global. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.